Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, December 13th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and after a couple weeks away from us on these Saturday shows, we got Ryan Robinson back in the house today for this edition, ready to break down the Saturday NHL card. Before we get to that, we will get to the big news in just a second, and obviously it took everyone by surprise. Not that this was going to happen. I don't think that's what took everyone by surprise. It was A, the timing of it, and B, who ended up involved on the other end of this trade. Of course, we'll get to that in a moment. Just a couple of very, very quick words about last night. St. Louis, tip of the cap, a good effort, a great start, pouncing early after a horrible game against Nashville, up 2-0, and they hang on because Chicago was pushing in that third period, but the Blues hang on to win 3-2. But the big story coming out of that game is what happened to Connor Bedard at the end on the faceoff with Braden Shen holding his shoulder. My first fear was separated shoulder potentially for Connor Bedard, but you could tell he was in obvious pain. Jeff Blashill post-game saying freak accident. We'll know more on Monday after an evaluation for Connor Bedard. So look, the hockey world, you don't have to be a Blackhawks fan to be crossing your fingers and hoping for the best for Connor Bedard, because he just makes the sport and the league so much better. And what a season he's having. You would absolutely hate it to see him miss significant time, especially knowing he's got a damn good chance to be in the Olympics as well. So when you look at this situation, Connor Bedard's health, we just hope for the best. And hopefully Monday we'll get some good news on that front. And then in the late game, Utah pulls away from Seattle and wins 5-2 in that game. Seattle defensive issue, and I'm telling you, if Seattle is going to keep struggling defensively and give up goals, they have a hard time winning games because they don't often score enough. But the a highlight of that game for me was definitely another bargain bin special winner, Mason Marchment. Not just one, but 2 goals last night for Seattle. So great to cash another bargain bin special with Mason Marchment, plus 410. Not have had a great offensive season for Seattle, but liked him in that spot last night, and especially playing on the top line, getting that opportunity, and he made the most of it. Alex, obviously the Connor Bedard situation, first and foremost on your mind. Thoughts on last night?
Yeah, and that was a good physical game. That's how a Blues Blackhawks game is supposed to be played. Had a couple of fights. It was physical, but had hard hits throughout. Chippiness, nastiness, which you were expecting, especially after how the Hawks beat them 8-3 in the first meeting. But then, like you said, the unfortunate and a freak accident. This was not a dirty play from Braden Shen. Yes, it was dirty of him to go charge forward on a faceoff, but with 0.3 seconds, 3/10 of a second left, that's what you're supposed to do because you're trying to block what was a shot attempt from Connor Bedard right on that faceoff draw. At the time that he goes down to a knee and tries to get enough leverage to get the shot, Shen shoots forward, and rather than lifting his stick up, he lifts up his arm and hurts his shoulder. Now, I'm seeing reports that he's listed at the moment day to day. We will know more, of course, once he's evaluated on Monday, which I was telling Ian and Ryan before we got on the air. That's already a good sign. If this was something more significant and serious, he would be with the Hawks medical trainers and doctors right now getting evaluated. Last night after the game, he was on Instagram posting about shout out to Rockford Ice Hawks goaltender Laurent Brossoit, who scored a goal last night. He and many other Hawks players were congratulating him. So that was a good sign to see that he was at least on his phone, posting and messaging things. But obviously we hope that this won't be a long-term injury. And like I said, people were, on all over my Twitter saying they should have been a fight. They should have been jumping all over Shen. Don't think for 1 second when these two teams meet again on January 7th, and Braden Shen's the kind of guy who knows he'll have to answer the bell. It'll be somebody, whether it's Colton Dock, whether it's a returning Nick Foligno, someone's going to be fighting him off of that because you can't let that happen. Even though it wasn't intentional, it was a freak accident, but you were the guy that was responsible on the play, and he's going to have to answer the bell at some point. And for the Hawks, like I said, you
reminds me of the Leafs challenging Perry a few years ago in that playoff series. What happened to Tavares? Like Perry's not directly at fault, but you still that's our captain for crying out loud. Right. We got to answer the bell. And this is Bedard. This is our guy. This is our franchise player. Yep.
Yeah, and when you have a rivalry like this, and like I said, you take out a top player like that, that's going to be noted. So I'm sure that game's going to be circled. That'll be an interesting game to watch, even more interesting than it was already going to be, because like I said, these two teams have played each other tight and have had some good matchups. As far as for the Seattle-Utah game, which I think it ended 5-3.
Oh, that's right. Seattle got a late goal.
There was those late goals. I turned it off when it was 4-2. So then I was stunned to see that there had been two more goals in there. But like I said, great call by you with Mason Marchman getting that first goal on the board and then scoring later as well. Like I said, that's something he needs. He has that in his game. I wish he would just be able to consistently score more.
What a goal it was too! That first goal he scored. Oh,
he's such a talented guy. He just has a tough time stringing them together. But that was a good night for him and a nice one.
Former Dallas Star Mason Marchman scoring that goal. Nice transition to Ryan. Anything you want to add about last night?
No, nothing last night, but I have a few thoughts on the Quinn Hughes trade. I don't know if you were going to get into it.
We're going to get to that right now. Oh, absolutely. And I know this is not breaking news because this happened last night, but we have the jingle. We love hearing it. Roll it.
This is breaking news from the Ice Guys.
And yes, indeed, Quinn Hughes, captain of the Vancouver Canucks, traded last night to the Minnesota Wild. A really remarkable turn of events. A Friedge bomb, as I called it on Twitter. Elliot Friedman, of course, breaking that news last night. It was not so much that we were stunned, to see it happen, because we figured Quinn Hughes, there was a potential he could get dealt. There was just so much swirling around this situation, and it was getting into the Vancouver dressing room, which is another reason why the Canucks, Jim Rutherford, Patrick Alvin, the GM, felt compelled to move on this, to get this done. Like, nip it in the bud, get it over with, get the get the Hornets to stop flying around, get the Hornets' nest to calm down. And eventually that is what we saw with this deal being made last night. But pretty remarkable stuff at the end of the day. Vancouver Canucks trading Quinn Hughes to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, Zeev Buium, and the first-round pick held by the Minnesota Wild in the 2026 NHL draft. So here's where I start. For Bill Guerin, he was and I heard this from Elliot when he did a Sportsnet television hit last night. Bill Guerin said to Elliot in an interview previously, when I find a player, he's not going to actually rattle the trade market for big shakeups, big moves, but he says, if I find a player that I really want that can help improve this hockey team and turn us into a potential contender, I will not hesitate to go after that player. I guess he was referring to Quinn Hughes in this situation. Clearly, Bill Guerin wanted Quinn Hughes, and now he's got Quinn Hughes. And look, there's no doubt as far as transforming the Minnesota blue line, it's certainly going to go. It's certainly going to help. He's an unbelievable skater, shoots the puck, great vision, unbelievable instincts offensively. He's come a long way at the defensive end as well compared to when he first started. He's obviously a guy that was a captain in Vancouver. You can say what you want, whether he was ready to be that kind of leadership type captain so early in his career, but he's got that experience now, so he does add leadership. You just have to say that by default, considering you're getting a captain in the dressing room. There's no doubt Minnesota makes them better, but it's a risk. He's going to be a UFA after the 2026, 2027 NHL season, so you're going to have to re-sign him down the road, and you gave up quite a bit to get Quinn Hughes when you're talking about a blue liner that could be a great NHL defenseman for a long time in Zeev Buium. I know he's had injuries and he's had some ups and downs, but Marco Rossi's got the potential to easily be a top 2 center in the NHL. I think on a really good team, he's a second line center, but he's even got that potential maybe to be, up top line, maybe on a weaker team. But nevertheless, Marco Rossi, when healthy, he can be a terrific centerman for you in this league. You lose that. And of course, Liam Ogren, who, look, that's the guy that, you can live with parting ways with him. He hasn't had a great, season here. He's been with Minnesota much of the year. He's been pretty quiet, but there's still a ton of upside there. And certainly Vancouver sees that in Liam Ogren being part of that trade. And then, of course, you get a first rounder as well. And now Vancouver is clearly in rebuilding mode. That's what this signals. And, now you need draft picks. Now you need draft capital. And the Vancouver Canucks get that with the first round pick that they acquire in this trade. So with all the shitting we've done on Jim Rutherford, Patrick Alvin, and I know there's people that are Canuck fans that have not loved the work maybe all the time by this group. Let's give them credit for this one. They got one hell of a return for Quinn Hughes in this deal. And like I said, now for the Minnesota Wild, it is contingent upon trying to get him locked up long term. And I don't think that's a given by any stretch of the imagination. He's going to have to see how it goes. I think certainly from a immediacy standpoint, it would not shock me if Quinn Hughes joins this Minnesota team and his game takes off again. The black cloud is behind him. It's over. He's been moved out of Vancouver. We've seen the interviews for weeks. That guy was miserable in Vancouver. He knew the team was not going. He wants to win. He wants to be in a contending situation, and he knew this Vancouver team was nowhere close to that here this season. And you saw it. He looked like he was lost his puppy every time we saw him interviewed. He looked that depressed. He looked that upset with the way things were going. So it wouldn't shock me to see him roll into Minnesota and just be great right out of the gate. But at the same point in time, like I said, if you're Vancouver, I think the return you got for obviously the best player on your team, your captain, you can't quibble about it. I think you made as good a hockey deal as you possibly could for losing a player like Quinn Hughes. Alex, your thoughts on not a shocking deal, because we knew there was a potential that Quinn Hughes would be traded. I don't know if we expected it, though, on a Friday night on December 12th. But here we are, Quinn Hughes going to Minnesota.
Yeah, definitely did not expect this trade on a Friday night in December, and definitely did not expect him to land here in St. Paul, certainly. It's a great trade for Vancouver. Definitely love the return. I think Zeev Buium is going to be a talented top-tier defenseman. He plugs in and plays there right away. He's not going to fill everything that Quinn Hughes does, but you don't need that because, like you said, you're now rebuilding. But you have a great foundation to start rebuilding on. And with how bad things are going right now, okay, it's going to be dark for now, but you're in a spot where you hold not only your draft pick, which could end up being number one in Mr. Gavin McKenna, but you now hold the Wild's draft pick. And, well, the Wild now have Quinn Hughes, but does this team look like they have turned into the Colorado Avalanche because they have Quinn Hughes? No. They've just made another acquisition to get a really good defenseman, which they need because you have Brock Faber, sure, and he's a young guy still going to continue to get better. Jared Spurgeon, Jonas Brodin, guys you can't really rely on to stay healthy and consistently play well. And then you have a bunch of money tied to Jacob Middleton. So you made an upgrade defensively, and you have a quality player. But here's the thing. With a couple of years left, is he going to stay in St. Paul? Like you said, he wants to be with a winning team, a contender. And, well, Minnesota hasn't done much of that lately. And we also know that he has a desire to play with his two brothers who are out in New Jersey. So you have the cap space, if you're Minnesota, to sign him long-term. And he's going to want to probably ask for quite a pretty penny. I would think he would command somewhere in that 10, 11, potentially $12 million range. Shouldn't be an issue with the cap going up. But I said to you, Ian, this morning, an article that I saw where a lot of GMs have said that they are still being cautious and optimistic about how they're spending this money, even with the cap going up. The lead quote came from none other than Craig Leopold, the owner of the Minnesota Wild, who is notoriously cheap. And it's just seems like could just be a rental, that's a lot to give up if you don't sign him long term and this ends up being a rental. And it wouldn't make sense to give up a guy like Zeev Buium and give up a draft pick when you drafted well. Because Bill Guerin is one of the better GMs in this league, and they have one of the better scouting systems up here in St. Paul. I think it's a lot that they gave up, and if it doesn't become an immediate splash, then this could be problematic. And if he leaves, you've given up quite a bit with nothing in return. So the biggest thing you have to do is sign this man long-term and convince him to be a part of the Minnesota Wild culture, whatever the hell that is, and try to turn this thing around.
Doubt. I think it's obviously massive to try to get him re-signed, but there's a certain New Jersey Devils that are going to be involved. I think in a potential, if they don't get him re-signed and he's going to maybe explore, the free agent market. There's a New Jersey Devils team that'll be interested. Do you think for a minute Quinn Hughes wouldn't be interested playing with his two brothers, Jack and Luke Hughes? Not a chance for a minute. He wouldn't be interested in that. So no question about that. So, like I said, things to monitor down the road. And here's the thing too with Minnesota: better team now with Quinn Hughes, 100%. That's how good a defenseman he is when he's on his game. But you're in the Central Division. Last I checked, Your pathway out of that division in the Stanley Cup playoffs goes through Colorado and Dallas. Is Quinn Hughes enough to put you in a spot where you're better than Colorado in a 7-game series and you're better than Dallas in a 7-game series? That's the ultimate question. And like I said, that's something for way down the road, but I'm not there yet with Minnesota. Makes them a lot better, but Colorado or Dallas to beat them type of better, not there yet. Ryan, what do you think about this big deal?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a very talented player, and kind of like Alex said, in my opinion, you're just kind of swapping out a D for an upgraded D in a way. I think it kind of all depends on what happens. Obviously, if he stays there and it works out, could be great. But if they lose him for nothing, it'll be a disaster. I mean, you're giving up a talented young D and Bouillon, a first-round pick. Rossi's kind of been like their third / like second line center at times, depth piece. Like, it's kind of a lot to give up unless you know you're going to re-sign him, which it's clearly come out that there's no guarantee you will re-sign. Obviously, I think him having 2 brothers in New Jersey doesn't help either. It's not, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that he probably wants to play with his brothers. They've openly said that before. That's their goal, their dream, to play together in the NHL. So I don't know. I don't think it necessarily makes the Wild that much better right now, given that they gave up so much. I think it'll take a little bit of time to see, how he does there, if he re-signs there, things like that. But kind of a shocking trade. I know Wild fans are pretty high on Bouillon. He was very young. He has, I think it's over half a point a game this year, is, a rookie defenseman who, is, like I said, pretty young. And so he's a talented player. Quinn Hughes is talented, but it's all about, if you keep him, if you re-sign him, how much you re-sign him for, things like that. Who knows? Maybe he goes to Minnesota. He's happy there, loves it, has a great year. The Wild go on a playoff run. But in my opinion, I just don't see that happening. And I think, as you guys already mentioned, for a rental piece, that's a lot to give up. So unless, and in my opinion too, like, some teams, some scenarios, maybe you give that up for a rental piece if you really feel like you're one piece away or 2 pieces away. But are the Wild really 1 or 2 pieces away? I don't think so. They haven't really proven it in the playoffs. So I guess in my opinion, it'll take some time to see who really wins the trade and how Quinn Hughes does there. But I know Wild fans are happy. I think Vancouver fans are bummed they gave up Hughes, but they also got to, realize they did get a lot in return. A great young defenseman, a good depth forward, a first-round pick, a prospect as well who didn't really obviously have much success in Minnesota. So who knows? Maybe that's good for Algren as well. Change of scenery. So it could work out for both sides, but I don't think it's a guaranteed win for Minnesota, in my opinion, even though Hughes is the high-profile talent that he is.
Should be interesting. Like I say, if their defense stays healthy moving forward, and you have a Hughes, Faber, Brodin and Spurgeon are the big ifs when it comes to staying healthy, because those guys are always banged up.
But you don't have to rely on them as much now because you have a better, 1 and 2.
Hughes and Faber that
is
need minutes and are young,
right.
And certainly can play, big minutes if they need to, 100%. Like Hughes and Faber, man, as far as your top 2 young up-and-coming defensemen, my goodness, yeah. Hughes is not up-and-coming. He's already great, but.
And that's the thing. Does he gel well with Faber? Does he gel well with this team? And like I said, are they going to pay him? Because everybody in the chat, when I said 12, they're saying 15, 16. I can tell you right now, 15, 16 million, that's probably not going to keep. He's not going to stay. They're not going to give him 15 million. The fact that they gave 17 million to Kaprizov, and then now you turn around and get 15, 16, you've basically done what you just did and what you just got out of with Suter and Parise, tying a bunch of money to 2 players. And if they don't pan out, you're stuck in the same boat you were all throughout the last decade.
I agree with that. All right, let's move on to Saturday's card because we have a game that's just about to begin in the next 5-10 minutes. Anaheim, New Jersey. We've got New Jersey minus 115 home favorite, 6.5 the total here. Yeah, I'm on Anaheim. I mean, a bounce-back spot after a tough loss to the Islanders. The only thing that concerns me is the 9:30 a.m. start time Pacific for a West Coast team. But they've been out on the East now long enough, multiple days on this trip, that I think they can adjust a little bit better. I like the spot coming off a loss. I think they can get it done here, Anaheim here. In this game. Jake Allen and net, certainly right now a little bit more of a reliable option than Jacob Markstrom, but Anaheim, big news for them. Lukas Dostal returning from the injured list, and he will get the start here for Anaheim, so they're thrilled to have him back. He's obviously had a great season. He's been a big part of why Anaheim's had a great first couple months of the season. New Jersey's also very banged up. Not only are they struggling, not only are they not playing well, blown out by Tampa at home, but all the injuries. Hughes had been out already, Dodonov, and now Timo Meyer's away from the team. Brett Pesce's still out, and now Arseny Gritchiuk, one of your promising young players, also out due to injury. So, like I said, all kinds of issues right now for New Jersey. I like Anaheim at this price, -105. Smaller bet on the over. Smaller because of the Anaheim overrun. I am a little concerned about the early start, and obviously you got better goaltenders on both sides, Dostal versus Allen. But the Anaheim overrun's been pretty strong, 9-2 in their last 11 games. So Anaheim for me, just a better team, better form, bounce back off a loss. I expect the focus, and New Jersey just struggling, banged up to me. Ryan, what do you think here? Anaheim, New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same spot as you. Honestly, I definitely took Anaheim last night at +120. I thought it was too good of a value. That's before I knew Dostal was even coming back. I just think New Jersey's so banged up right now. They can't seem to stay healthy. Consistently losing guys to injuries, kind of like my Stars. It's just been every game. It seems like someone's getting hurt for the Devils. I know they've even dealt with some fluke injuries in practice and, off the ice as well. So I do agree with you. The only kind of weird, thing about this spot is Anaheim on, Pacific time. It's an early game for them, but these guys are pros. They deal with weird start times all the time, late games, things like that. So I like Anaheim, especially. I still like them at -105, but for me, at that plus money, it was too good of a price to pass up on a young team that's fun to watch, has a good amount of skill, and then obviously the Devils are just missing too many key guys, in my opinion. So I like the Ducks here in this spot. I do like their team total as well, but pregame I am, in terms of sides, only on Anaheim for this one.
Now, we got a lot of line shifting, creating prop value. We've got Cody Glass repair, Cody Glass replace, and Connor Brown on the second line now. So I'd consider a sprinkle on them, and Dawson Mercer with Bratt and Heishier on the top line. So the Newfoundlander Dawson Mercer might be worth a shot. We've got Beckett Seneca. Beckett Seneca's been on a roll, and Michael Granlund's now on that line with Seneca and McTavish. So Michael Granlund might have a little prop value here. So there's some good prop value. Granlund, Mercer, Brown, and who's the other one now? I forget now. Connor Brown's on the second line for New Jersey, and Glass. Yeah, Cody Glass. So there's definitely some good prop value in this game, and I'm going to punch those in right now that I see what the lines are going to be. So some shifting and some blendering going on for both Joel Quenneville and Sheldon Keefe for this particular game. So Brown and Glass and Mercer, good value on the New Jersey side. And like I said, Seneca and Troy Terry, by the way, I think has scored in back-to-back games for Anaheim as well. So he might be worth a shot. But Seneca and Granlund for Anaheim from a value standpoint, I'm interested. All right, Ottawa, Minnesota. This is a 2 p.m. Eastern start, 1 p.m. local in Minnesota. We've got Minnesota -120 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. It looks like we're at the moment seeing Allmark and Gustafsson. We don't have confirmations yet there. Shabbat and Pinto still on IR for Ottawa, and Eller out. Brodin day-to-day. Foligno, Hinostroza, Jake Middleton, Zuccarello, the injured parts for Minnesota. Maybe I'm wrong. And look, Minnesota, give them credit off a nice win against Dallas in their last game. I think this is just the ultimate dead spot today for Minnesota. I really do. They're just biding their time. The god of gods, Quinn Hughes, on his way to join the team, but not playing today. He will not make his Minnesota debut today. It won't be until tomorrow when they play the Boston Bruins that Quinn Hughes will make his Minnesota Wild debut. You're coming off just the crazy. I'm sure that team is just, pretty excited. The adrenaline's flowing that Quinn Hughes is on his way to join the team. But at the same point in time, you're not going to see him on the ice. And I just feel that for Minnesota, this could be one of those, we're kind of more looking forward to tomorrow when Quinn Hughes joins the team and we play the Boston Bruins. Not to mention Ottawa, they've been struggling, but they get a nice win to snap their mini skid. Now, Elvis Merzlikins was given some early Christmas gifts of soft goals to the Ottawa Senators in that game. That played a big part in the win. But at the same point in time, I think Ottawa here in this spot. I like it. I like the price. Minnesota, do I trust them after a big win at home against Dallas? No. And here's the thing with Minnesota. They've been a good home dog this year. This is another thing we talked about with the Islanders, where they've been a good home dog. Minnesota's been a good home dog. They've beaten Carolina at home as a home dog. They beat Dallas in their last game as a home dog. Not as good as home favorites this year consistently, the Minnesota Wild. So, and that's obviously the role here for Minnesota as a home favorite. So I'm on Ottawa here, plus 100 in this game. Lean draw as well. Alex, what do you think? Ottawa, Minnesota.
Yeah, I like this draw here at plus 320, but I actually took a shot with the Wild to score first goal in the first period at plus 120. I think there's going to be a little bit of energy from the crowd more than anything else, and I think that could get the Wild fired up. These fans are stoked that it's going to be Quinn Hughes, and like you said, once he arrives, it's going to be even more electricity. But I could see Minnesota jumping out here early, getting a goal, then that may be the time to strike and grab some Ottawa in game. So this will be definitely a live game for me as well. Definitely want to check Patreon for this. But I'm on Minnesota first goal, first period, got plus 120 at BetMGM, and I also have the draw plus 320, same price in the same book.
Yeah, the draw is a small bet for me, but I am on that indeed. Another thing too, Minnesota, not only is Quinn Hughes not there yet, won't play till tomorrow. Because of this trade, you're taking Zeev Buium, one of your, already important defensemen out of your lineup. Now, Rossi was on IR. He was already injured. So, that's not a huge deal because you were already playing without him. He was on the injured list. But you also take out Ogren, who was a bottom six forward for you. So, you lose a regular defenseman, and a key one, and a forward today. And Quinn Hughes ain't coming until tomorrow, not making his debut until tomorrow. So to me, you're even a little bit more shorthanded if you're Minnesota here in this game because of the trade. So I think Ottawa's worth it in this spot at that price. What do you think here, Ryan? Ottawa, Minnesota?
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I kind of like Alex's idea of looking at this one live. My initial thought would be Minnesota. However, and he does have a point that the crowd's going to be fired up. There might be some extra energy, but, they're missing Buium. They don't have Hughes yet. They've been great lately. However, I do think, they are going to hit a wall soon. I like the price with Ottawa. However, I know they're like 1-4 in their last 5. They haven't played great as well. So I kind of like this one as a live spot. I think I'll be keeping an eye out on the first, 10 minutes of this game. See if the Wild get up. If Ottawa gets up, I probably will take the Wild live, but I think it depends on kind of the first 10, the pace of play, things like that. See who's kind of dictating, the offense in this one. But this is a pass pregame for me. However, I will be keeping an eye out for some live stuff. I know someone mentioned, Ottawa money line with Kachuk point. I do like that. You can get that upwards of, plus 160. So I think if I do take Ottawa, I will, parlay Kachuk with a point, get that better value on them. But nothing in terms of any team totals or anything for me in this one pregame.
Yeah, a few props. I agree with Batherson. Two games in a row with a goal for him. Timmy Stützle for Ottawa, 2 games in a row with a goal. Eriksson Ek, 2 games in a row with a goal. Marcus Johansson, lo and behold, he's scored in back-to-back games for the Minnesota Wild, and you're getting over plus 400 with him. So there's 4 players on a 2-game goal-scoring streak right now. Johansson and Eriksson Ek for the Wild, and Stützle and Batherson for the Senators. So if you want to ride those streaks, I wouldn't argue with that. I like the Johansson one just because you're getting over plus 400 with him. No question about that. So like I said, interesting game there. We'll see how it plays out. San Jose and Pittsburgh. This is also an afternoon game, 3:00 p.m. Eastern in the Berg. Pittsburgh minus 170, home favorite, 6 the total. Yeah, I'd fade the Penguins at these prices again for me. They're floundering again, 0-2-1 in their last 3 games. Give me the Sharks plus 150, worth a shot. Split with the team total, over 2.5. Of course, Jari trade means Shilov's becomes the primary goaltender here for Pittsburgh. And maybe we would have loved that last year. I don't know if I love that this year. He hasn't had a great season here for the Pittsburgh Penguins so far. Been struggling a little bit. I think the Sharks' money line team total over split is worth a look. Good point by Jonathan Ricard. Raquel coming back for Pittsburgh, desperately needed because they've been shorthanded a bit and still, of course, without Malkin. So we'll see if he's able to come back. Of course, they get Skinner in the trade from Edmonton, but of course he will not suit up just a little too soon. the turnaround. So it is expected to be Shelov's year. Yeah, I am concerned about that. That's why, Jonathan, I'm on San Jose split with the money line and team total. But like I said, it's not a bigger bet for me because of that. They have not been good off a win lately. There's been some inconsistency in San Jose, and we've mentioned that with the 0-5. So, but the price is good enough for me to take a shot. Lean over as well, but I'm going to wait to see if I can get something a little bit better. It's 6 with juice. I'm going to see if maybe I can sneak out a 5.5. Remember, this is an early game. It could be 4 or 5 minutes of scoreless hockey early on, and we'll get a 5.5 in game. If I see a 5.5, definitely we'll be moving on the live over. Alex, what do you think here? Sharks, Penguins.
I grabbed a small piece of the parlay. Sharks tied with over 4.5 plus 175. Like I said, looking to grab adjusted with over by back to in game. But pregame, I definitely, like I said, this is good enough of a plus price to tie it in with that over and kind of bump it up a little bit, knock down that over from a 6 or 5.5 down to a 4.5.
And I will look for a cheaper first period over in game 2 because San Jose, it didn't work in their last game. The Toronto-San Jose game was under in the first, but long term, I think it's still 9-3, 10-3, something like that with the first period over for San Jose. So
this is a game I'm willing to wait for plus prices on both. I think, like you said, we can see at least a good full 5 minutes of scoreless hockey. So I wouldn't be taking anything like goal in first 5 minutes, or anything, something to try and ensure it. I'm just going to wait and kind of, like I said, let this one roll and get into plus money territory on both.
And by the way, there's a couple injuries coming out of the Toronto game for Askarov just got confirmed, by the way. Two confirmations just now. Levi Merolainen is in net for Ottawa this afternoon against Minnesota. And we just got confirmation that Yaroslav Askarov is back from his illness and will start for the San Jose Sharks this afternoon against Pittsburgh. But they are without Ty Dellandrea and Shakir Makhmadoulian on defense, are two of the players that got banged up in the Toronto game and may not play here in this one. Yeah, Tommy Novak, you're right. The gift that's been giving lately, taking him up on the top line for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's had some success against San Jose, it looks like. So, worth maybe, although I think he might be down to the fourth line again because Raquel's going to go back to Crosby and Rust on that top line. So, but still, he's had success against the San Jose Sharks. So still might be worth a look there as far as that's concerned. And of course, I'm going to bet Colin Graf at least one more time, up on that top line. Colin Graf for San Jose is still worth a look. What do you think here, Ryan, with Sharks Penguins?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a small shot with the Sharks here, split with their team total over 2.5 as well. I don't like Pittsburgh at this price. I do like, Celebrini to find the back of the net. I am going to sprinkle a Celebrini and Crosby anytime goal parlay, almost plus 600. I mean, Sid has, almost 20 goals this year. He's been on fire. And then Celebrini, obviously, Crosby's his idol. They played together at the World Championships. He's going to want to bring his best. So he does have a goal in, I think, the 3 matchups he's played against Pittsburgh. But I like that parlay. And then, again, just a small shot with San Jose split with their team total. They're a young team that's fast, offensive. I could see a high-scoring game here. I was actually talking to one of my good buddies who's a diehard Sharks fan, and we were talking about, not banking on it, but I do think if somehow, some way they found a wild card spot, no one would have predicted that at the start of the year. I think that would put them 2 or 3 years ahead of where, people thought this Sharks team would be. So they're young. They have the pieces in place to, build around. So they are win or lose. They're usually a fun team to watch, much like the Chicago Blackhawks with that young talent and, Celebrini and Bedard and guys like that. So I like the Sharks in this spot, purely more of like a price thing, but I am taking a small shot with them.
All right, next up, this is the last of the afternoon games, the last of the matinee affairs. Tampa Bay, New York Islanders. God, these teams have played each other a million times, it feels like, lately. Tampa Bay minus 125, road favorites, 5.5 the total. It's their third meeting in like the last week or 2 weeks. I mean, it's just absurd can we not separate this shit a little bit more than that? I mean, my goodness, 3 times in the last week or 2 seems a little bit nuts. But nevertheless, boy, oh boy. This really feels like I want to be really hammering Tampa Bay here because they've lost twice to the Islanders, but both times the Islanders caught the Lightning banged up, depleted. I think there was 1 or 2 games where Point didn't play. Kucherov missed the last Lightning Islanders game. I remember it down in Tampa. And then he came back the next game against Toronto. So, the fact they lost the first 2 matchups, I could see that. Tampa Bay might be worth a look here. I'm going to sprinkle on the light, especially now that the price is coming down. I did not like Tampa Bay at the opener, minus 145, minus 150. That was too pricey to me. But now we're seeing minus 120, minus 125. There's been some Islanders money here in this game, which is very interesting. And I know they're red hot, and they've beaten Vegas and Colorado back-to-back games at home. But nevertheless, the Islanders just lost Bo Horvat, and he's had a great season, obviously, for the Islanders so far. So that's a big loss as far as offensive production is concerned. He's had a great year. He'll be missing in action for this game. We'll see where Tampa goes in net because, Vasilevsky's in a cloak of uncertainty right now. We don't know how long he's out or when he's going to come back. As of right now, we've got Sorokin and Johansson as projections for the starting goaltenders in this game. But I'm going to lean here a little bit. Small bet Tampa Bay now that it's come down to the minus 120, minus 125 range. I'm going to grab a small piece of the over now at 5.5 as well, because I know we had two unders. I'm a little worried that it's like, I think, a 6-1 run to the under in the series. But look at the way now the offenses have exploded and the current form of these two teams as far as scoring. Tampa's busted out of their offensive funk. Or defensive funk, offensive funk, I should say. They got shut out twice, of course, by this Islanders team and Tampa and Toronto after that. And since then, they scored, the 6 against Montreal, 8 against New Jersey. So their offense is feeling it. Point and Kucherov are back in the flow and in the rhythm again, returning from those injuries they had. And then you look at the Islanders, and all of a sudden their offense is perked up again with Vegas and Anaheim scoring 5 goals in both of those games. So I think after a couple of unders in recent meetings with these two teams, we'll see a pendulum swing here. And with the total being 5.5, I'll take a shot over the total here. Alex, what do you think? Lightning, Islanders?
This is one I can wait for. And like I said, once again, try and grab plus money, maybe even get a 4.5. This is one where, like I said, I have no rush or desire to jump in early. Maybe even look at a scoreless first period, 0-0 correct score, first period draw. I know that's a Perlo special. That could see where this game starts off a little low and slow and then maybe gets worked up. Like I said, we've seen these two teams battle lately, and they've been very tight, very close. So no reason to rush and grab 5.5 where I feel like there may be time to get better value and even a better number, possibly at 4.5.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. Nothing wrong with waiting live. Ryan, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, New York, Islanders.
Yeah, this one's a pass for me. I'm not too interested in this one. Like you mentioned, these teams have played a lot lately, but I just think there's better games, better spots that I'm more interested in. So I'm passing on this one.
Yeah, I'm diving into these red hot two consecutive game goal scorers. Simon Holmstrom, which Jonathan mentions, is one of them, and Pontus Holmberg back-to-back games with a goal for Tampa Bay out of nowhere, and he's 11-1 to score for the Lightning here this afternoon. So the former Maple Leaf making an impact here with the Tampa Bay Lightning. 2-game goal streaks for Point for Radish. I mean, even Darren Radish, the defenseman for Tampa Bay, has scored in back-to-back games. So, like I said, the plus 700 there or thereabouts with him could be worth a shot here in this one, no question. Nick Paul is always someone we're interested in. Does Oliver Bjorkstrand get rolling? He finally, snapped a little bit of a drought offensively, getting on the board against New Jersey. He can be streaky sometimes for the Lightning, and last I checked, he was on the second line against Jersey, and I think he will be yet again this afternoon with Point and Gensel for Tampa Bay. So, there's some good options here as far as goal props in this game. No question about that. All right, let's go to the night card. Everything else taking place on this Saturday night, starting with the Montreal Canadiens and the New York Rangers. Rangers minus 130, 35 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. I'm going to try to ride the wave here with Montreal a little bit tonight in this game. What we know about the Rangers is they stink at home anyway. They've had a terrible run here at Madison Square Garden all season long. They're on a 3-game losing streak as well. They just got blanked by Chicago earlier this week, struggling to score goals at home, the same old song and dance, struggling to win games at home as well. And here's Montreal with Fowler was great. I watched all that Montreal-Pittsburgh game, and Fowler was great in his debut. But there is no question about it that Montreal played much better team defense for their goaltender as well. The commitment to defending hard in their own zone was there, more than I've seen out of the Canadians in any recent game from them, and that made a difference too. Lane Hudson saves a goal, in the final 2 minutes when Pittsburgh had the extra attacker in that game. So it's a perfect example of just how strong they played in front of them last game as well. We know this Rangers team, again, they're just not very good on home ice. Can't score at home. It's been the same old issues. Again, struggling right now. And now we're starting to see, I think, the effects of, and John Massey knows this, he's got obviously flaws, Adam Fox, but, at least you get a transition game going. At least he can run the power play a little bit. And that just makes this Rangers attack even meeker and weaker moving forward with Adam Fox missing, and they're having issues there. No surprise, Jacob Fowler starting again. Why wouldn't you give him another shot after he played well in his debut and the team played well around him and in front of him as well? Igor Shesterkin confirmed, of course, for the New York Rangers. Yeah, Montreal for me, plus 110. No issues at all taking them at a nice price like this. Alex, what do you think here? Canadians, Rangers.
This is a dog and draw split, knowing full well that this could possibly be the time that Jacob Fowler gets his head kicked in after having a great start. But I'm willing to take that shot because it is the New York Rangers at home, and where's their offense? So at plus 114, plus 325 with the draw at BetMGM, dog and draw.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Habs host Edmonton tomorrow. Good call on that, Jonathan. So I'm sure we're going to see, they're going to have to start probably tomorrow. They're going to have to start one of the other guys that have been struggling, Dobish or Montembeault. It's just going to be a question of which one is it going to be for Marty St. Louis.
Dobish has the upper hand still, right, over Montembeault.
So. I would think so. I would think so, personally. Yeah. I would still think you got a good chance to start with him. By the way, I've got the Celebration Bowl on, and I bet Prairie View, so that tells you we bet everything here on a Saturday. There we go. A little HBCU championship, if you will. MEAC versus SWAC, if you know what I mean there. Yep. Brian, what do you think here? Montreal, New York Rangers.
Yeah, I think I like the draw on this one as well. I'm going to sprinkle on that. Obviously, two Eastern Conference teams. New York hasn't been great at home. Montreal has a tough matchup tomorrow, so they'll take anything out of this one that they can get. So just a small sprinkle on the draw for me pregame.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, this is just, I wasn't sure I was going to be on Montreal because I obviously I needed Fowler to start. I wasn't going to be on Montreal if it was one of the other two goaltenders. But he was good. They played well in front of him. I think they're trying to build a little momentum. And you don't have to ask me twice to fade the Rangers as a home favorite, where they've been, awful, dismal all year at Madison Square Garden. So, yeah, I think worth it to ride Montreal here once again tonight. As far as props for this game, more of my props that I'm interested in are Montreal. Oliver Kapanen, that's the one I like. Plus 440, plus 450, scored in back-to-back games for the Montreal Canadiens. So I definitely think that's worth a shot here tonight. Taking him again. Oliver Kapanen's been a bright spot here, no doubt, for the Montreal Canadiens throughout the course of the season. Bolduc still up there where he is in the lineup, still probably worth a shot as well. All right, Washington and Winnipeg. Washington minus 120 road favorites, 6 the total. It's going to be very difficult to stay off betting Washington here. They're off a loss to Carolina. Brandon Bussey was outstanding, turned aside every shootout attempt. So you got Washington off a loss. That's usually a good bet on spot for a team like the Capitals. They've been very good off a loss under Spencer Carberry. We know Winnipeg's just having a rough go now. They come back home. They lose to Dallas 4-3. They obviously get absolutely steamrolled by Edmonton in that brutal spot. They did beat Buffalo last Friday, but I don't know how much we get excited about that. I was just waiting on some confirmations of the goaltending, and it looks like Logan Thompson is confirmed for Washington, which means Washington is confirmed for me. Give me Washington here, minus 120. Alex, what do you think? Capitals, Jets.
This is one I want to wait in game for. I want to look for a first period over. Want to look for Jets to score and then grab Capitals at a plus price. I said still can't really trust Winnipeg's form, but I feel like we'll have enough time to get the Caps at plus money. Don't have to lay a price here or jump in early with it. So it's a live game for me.
All right, Ryan, what do you think? Caps, Jets.
Yeah, I like the Capitals here as well. Sometimes guys have a team they like to play against and for whatever reason find the back of the net. And Ovi definitely seems to, the Jets seem to be one of those teams for him. So I like Ovi anytime goal scorer plus, 170 range as well. So I'm going to sprinkle that pregame. It's just sometimes for whatever reason, guys have a team or two that they consistently find the back of the net against, even if it isn't in their conference or division. Sometimes it's one of those weird East-West matchups that guys, for again, whatever reason, I don't know if it's the rink, the city, whatever, but they just seem to have good luck. So I'm going to sprinkle on Ovechkin anytime as well.
There's an old song from the 60s. I'm really going to be looking like an absolute lunatic for bringing it up, but Peggy March, I Will Follow Him. And Alex Iafallo from the 60s. Alex Iafallo moved up to the top line and scored the other night for the Winnipeg Jets. He's scoring, he's scoring, he's scoring. He's Alex Iafallo, 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 Alex Iafallo. Top line for the Winnipeg Jets. I will take him again tonight. I mentioned it on the show the other night. Winnipeg Jets, him getting on the top line, an opportunity, and he scored against Dallas the other night with that top line spot. You're getting him in that plus 450, plus 500 range, depending on the book. So shop around. You'll get the best price possible. But yeah, Alex Iafallo is worth a shot, in my opinion. Here, playing with Scheifele and Connor, certainly made the most of getting that spot the last game for the Winnipeg Jets. For Washington, you've got Connor McMichaels with Stroman, Ovechkin, could be worth a shot there. Protas was heating up just recently as well. So those are a couple players interested for the Washington and the Winnipeg side of the equation. All right, next up, we've got Edmonton taking on Toronto, a big hockey night in Canada matchup right here. We've got Edmonton minus 130, road favorites, 6.5 the total. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Ian Cameron is betting an under, and I'm betting an under in this game. Oilers and Leafs, believe it or not, at 6.5. I think when you look at this matchup here, this is Tristan Jarry's Edmonton debut. He was in the starter's crease this morning. You got to think the Oilers, whatever defensive abilities they have, show it tonight. Do you really want to embarrass your new goaltender here in his first start with the Edmonton Oilers? I think definitely this team is going to try to at least play a little bit diligently at the defensive end. It's not like Toronto's lighting up the scoreboard right now either. This team is not an offensive juggernaut right now, the Leafs, by any stretch of the imagination. So I could definitely see a situation where this is definitely a game where I think it could lean under. And we know Toronto's an under machine right now. I mean, it's just been under Palooza lately for the Leafs. They finally, listened to Craig Berube about a week or two ago. We've got to start playing better defensively in front of our own net. And they have done that. And it's just been an absolute parade of unders for Toronto of late. The Montreal game, way under. 2-0 shutout win against Tampa, way under. The Shark Leaf game the other night, under once again. So, like I said, I think this is definitely, and you're going to give me 6.5 now too. Yeah, this is an Ian under, and I don't bet many, but I think this makes a lot of sense to me. I think the Oilers, with Jarry making his first start against a team that's having a tough time finding some finish right now, could keep the Leafs in check. And I think Toronto, and Hill to be in net one more time for the Leafs. He's been great. What's he given up? That's trying to count it up now. 4 goals since last Friday in a span of 10 or 11 periods of hockey. He's been great for Toronto. And I think this could take on a little bit of give me a 3-2-4-2 for somebody here in this game. I think there's reasons philosophically here and conceptually to like maybe this game staying under the total here. Nothing on the side. I mean, I'm not getting involved. I'd lean Edmonton. It wouldn't shock me if Edmonton wins here, but Toronto off a home loss at home on a Saturday, nah. And that's the one time you get a little zest in the building too, in Toronto at Scotiabank Arena on a Saturday night. The building is usually at least a little bit more energized on a Saturday night. So nothing on the side. We'll have a small under 6.5 here, though. Alex, what do you think? Oilers, Leafs.
Not a school night, so you can have those 2 beers instead of 1, right? This is a pass for me. I wish you well with that under 6.5, but this is what I want to wait for. Especially, I want to see what Tristan Jarry is looking like in the orange and blue pads with Edmonton and see if he makes a difference. And that wouldn't shock me one bit if he comes out and has a good game and they get the win. Maybe I'll jump in live, but pregame, this is a pass for me. Definitely want to wait and see. This would have been more of an over if it wasn't Jarry.
Yeah.
But, with him, like I said, it should be an onus on Edmonton wanting to play well and wanting to get things, straightened up, especially on that back end with him in there.
Yeah, and by the way, there are still some injuries to the blue line. It looks like Carlo Mermis and Tanev still out, but Henry Thrun came in. I thought he played all right in his Leaf debut last game. Benoit, McCabe, Stetcher, Riley. And Ekman Larsson's fine. That's amazing. People were panicking that Oliver Ekman-Larsson really suffered a serious injury against San Jose, but they avoided the worst case scenario. And not only that, he's playing tonight. So, boy, oh boy, that's what. Can we get a little of that kind of relief for Chicago with Connor Bedard on Monday, where it looked like when we saw it happen with Ekman-Larsson, we thought, wow, this is bad. He's going to miss some time. And sure enough, he's not even going to miss a game. He's playing tonight. So let's hope, and obviously Bedard's missing a game, which we'll get to. He's not playing tonight, but let's hope again it's not as bad as it looked initially with Connor Bedard as well. Ryan, what do you think here, Edmonton, Toronto?
Yeah, I actually, it's kind of a tough spot, honestly. I like Toronto with this price at home, coming off of a loss, but I do see your logic with the under. Obviously, anytime you get a new goalie, you don't want to leave him out to dry. The Oilers were dealing with Skinner for a while, and the media saying they need to get rid of him and they can't win with him and all that. So the GM made a move, brought in a goalie that they think will increase their chance to win the Stanley Cup and make them a better team right now. So anytime you start a new goalie or a backup plays, anything like that, you want to make sure you're bringing your best effort, not leaving them out to dry. So I do expect the Oilers to tighten it up a bit. And then, like you mentioned as well, with Toronto putting a heavier emphasis on, D zone and really, prioritizing the defensive end, first before the offensive, side of the puck. I think it's led to some lower scoring games for them. So I don't hate that under 6.5. But I do think the Leafs get it done. So I like that plus 110. I'm sprinkling, a little bit on that. And then also I do lean towards the draw on this one. I think it's hockey night in Canada. Should be both teams bringing their A game. So I like the draw on this one. I see it around plus 310, plus 320. Might sprinkle on that pregame. Another thing to mention, Austin Matthews has been ripping the puck lately. He has 7 shots and 6 shots in his last 2 games, respectively. So he's been shooting it a lot lately. I don't expect that to change. So I might look for an Austin Matthews power play goal in this one just to get better odds versus, anytime goal. But he's been ripping the pill. So I could definitely see Austin Matthews find the back of the net in this one as well.
All right, good stuff. Anaheim just scored, and it's Troy Terry. Let's go. Troy Terry, one of our goal props. 3-game goal streak now for Troy Terry. 1-0. Quack, 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 quack. Anaheim Ducks up 1-0. The duck sound never gets old. Maybe it does, but anyway. Vegas and Columbus. We've got Vegas minus 145, road favorites, 6 the total. By the way, if that under loses in Toronto, we'll go back to our 1 under every 6 months quota after this, if it doesn't come through. Gladly. Vegas and Columbus. We've got Vegas minus 145, road favorites. The total here, 6 pretty much across the board in this game. This is an interesting spot. Vegas has had a very good road trip. I think they've gotten 7 of 8 possible points on this road trip, the Vegas Golden Knights, including, of course, an overtime win against Philadelphia on Thursday. Well, this is the last game of that road trip, and I always get worried about that when a team's had a very good road trip, that the last game's kind of a, not a throwaway game, but you don't get their best effort, you don't get full focus. All that stuff comes into play for the Golden Knights. I worry about that. And Columbus just got bag skated by Dean Evison yesterday after the Ottawa loss. Not happy. He was really agitated. Now, look, the goaltender gave them no chance. The goaltender just sunk them, sewered them with the performance that Merzlikins gave. I mean, but the team was not great either. I think the goaltender was the bigger issue, but like I said, the 3 goals in the first period, good luck when you're down 3-0 before you can blink. So like I said, Columbus, I think, is going to play hard tonight. It's the 25th anniversary of the franchise celebration game tonight at Nationwide Arena. They're doing some kind of special thing for the 25th anniversary of the franchise, which, of course, started in 2000. So like I said, there's a little extra special ceremony surrounding the game tonight. Jet Greaves already confirmed in net. Not a shock. There's no chance in hell you could stick Merzlikins back in there after how bad he's been and how brutal he was early in the game against Ottawa. So it'll be Merzlikins tonight. I think it'll be Carter Hart for Vegas because they're doing the alternating between him and Schmid, Bruce Cassidy. So it should be Carter Hart here in net for the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm still not all the way back on him being great night in and night out. We got to still see it. Consistency as he works his way back into NHL shape. I think Columbus could be live in this game. I like Columbus plus 125, but I like the early looks with Columbus, especially even more. I like Columbus first goal of first period in this game. Very good plus price on that. Columbus first period money line. I like that as well. I think they pounce early. Vegas, the road weary last game of the trip. It's been a great trip. If you lose, it's not the end of the world. I think it's a really nice situational bet here, pro Columbus here tonight in this game. So first period money line and first goal of first period at a nice plus price for Columbus. Little on that full game money line as well in this game. And I also like the over, not the over by Fecta, but especially the first period over in this game with Vegas Columbus. Columbus comes out, storming. Maybe Vegas gets on the board too. And we know Vegas with the first period overs. It's been pretty damn good for them all season. So more so first period over than full game over for me in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Vegas, Columbus.
Yeah, I just had to laugh, and you said they're doing the 25th anniversary celebration for the Blue Jackets. I'm like, that's pretty much going to be honoring Rick Nash, right?
Yeah.
Like,
there's not a whole lot to, really look back on with fondly in 25 years.
Right. There's really been more tragedy with this franchise than anything else over the last 2 decades, unfortunately. But hey, a celebration to celebration. And like I said, this is a Columbus team that coming off of the bag skate, which I'm sure a Dean Evason bag skate, they can't be anything fucking fun about that at all. This guy's a nutcase when they're winning. So you can imagine how things are when things aren't going too well. He's certainly not the happiest camper. So I can see Columbus taking out that frustration right on Vegas here in this spot. I like that first goal, first period look. Plus 135, just great value with that. Team total, I'm not so bullish on it, minus 140, 145, but I do like Columbus here at plus 125 to get the win. Little sprinkle on the draw, shop around for a good price, plus 333 is what I'm seeing best price available. We have seen Vegas on the road going into some of these overtime games. Not one of my favorite draws, but I do have a piece of that. But I like Columbus to get out here, like I said, hot start and get a win here against a Vegas team that might not be as interesting.
It's been a bit more of a struggle for Jet Greaves, that is. Like his record's not as good the last few times we've seen him as before, but he's still been better than Merzlikins, way better, and his numbers still bear that out. He's still got a .907 save percentage and a 2.7 goals against average, which is pretty good for the entire season. So like I said, I think this sets up well. I think this is worth a shot. Well worth a shot in this spot for Columbus, because I think we're going to get a pretty solid game from them, at least effort-wise tonight. Whether it's enough to win, that remains to be seen. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Golden Knights, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, so I was going to pass on this one. However, when you mentioned, getting bag skated, and Evason does seem like a scary guy. So I think anytime, a coach makes a statement like that and you get skated like that, you want to come out hot the next game, come out fast, have a good start. So I don't trust, Columbus full game. I think if they get up 1-0, 2-0, they might start gripping their sticks a bit tight and, not want to blow that. So I do like the first goal, first period for Columbus, plus 140 on DraftKings. I see it. So I like that. I think anytime, you're going through a tough stretch and a coach, you have a couple tough practices and he makes a statement like that. You have a battle day, it sucks, whatever. You want to make sure you don't have a practice like that again, for a while. So I could see Columbus coming out quick here, wanting to have a fast start at home. So I'm going to sprinkle that Columbus first period, first goal. But again, I don't trust them full game. I don't like Vegas at minus 145. So that's all I have in terms of pregame. I like that look a lot.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'm on the full game money line, but I do prefer the first period, the early stuff with Columbus, first period money line and that first goal of the first period. It is worth noting, too, that Voronkov has scored in back-to-back games. Fantilli, Marchenko, Jenner. It looks like we've got Isaac Lundestrom, who's now up on the second line here for the Columbus Blue Jackets in this game. And Lundestrom, he scored against Florida. No points in the last 3 games, but it looks like he's up on the second line. There's value if you want to trust in Lundestrom, maybe finding the back of the net here in this game. Speaking of finding the back of the net, New Jersey just found the back of the net. We have ourselves a 1-1 tie in Jersey with the Ducks and the Devils. So it's good news for the over, bad news for the Ducks. But 1-1 first period. So anyone that had first period over, both teams to score.
Both teams to score.
Yeah. Yep, you are indeed a winner there with that. All right, next up, we've got Florida and Dallas. This should be one of the better matchups tonight. Dallas minus 135, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Stars coming off a loss to Minnesota. Florida coming off a loss to Colorado, 6-2. So we should have both teams, chomping at the bit to bounce back. We've got Sergei Bobrovsky and Jake Ottinger, the goalie matchup we expected, now confirmed here in net. And Rope Hintz, boy, we were fearful for his health after the last game with the leg issue against Winnipeg with the foot. But unfortunately, the good news is, he is in the lineup and he's back for the Dallas Stars. So
really?
Yes. Yeah, incredible. And Ryan was saying right before the show started, it's like he's made of paper mache sometimes, not exactly Mr. Durable. But at the same point in time, after that injury the other night against Minnesota, and here he is back and ready to rock here tonight for the Dallas Stars in this game. So the one that stuck out to me here is Florida's a bet on or pass team for me. I forgive them for losing to Colorado. It was a brutal spot, but you can clearly see they're starting to get their game going a bit, with the wins at home against Columbus and the Islanders. Then they went on the road. They beat Utah. And then back-to-back was a tough spot against Colorado. I'm going to sprinkle on Florida here in this spot at plus 115, but I like the over, 5.5. It's one of my favorite overs on the card. 10 straight games, 10 straight meetings head-to-head, Panthers and Stars have had at least 6 goals. And that's significant with this total only being 5.5 at a couple of books here. FanDuel, DraftKings, the Score Bet, Fanatics. There's a bunch of books that have this total at 5.5. I think it's well worth the over, looking in that direction here at that number. 10 straight meetings, 6 goals or more between Florida and Dallas, 8-2 to the over in the last 10 meetings overall. Not to mention, Florida's kind of an over team right now. Their scoring has gone up, and their defending is still lackluster. And you could say the same thing about Sergei Bobrovsky. They're scoring, but they're still giving up goals. And I think you could see that here tonight. And Dallas, kind of the same thing, They struggled a bit at the defensive end against Minnesota. Their game against Winnipeg, they let the Jets back into that game, and it went over the total, ending 4-3. So I really like over 5.5. I think we're getting a bargain with that number. Alex, what do you think here? Florida, Dallas.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I grabbed that minus 128 at FanDuel with the over 5.5. You see anything higher than 130, 134s, 135s, that nature, wait in game and try and get it a couple minutes into the contest. But like I said, the over is what I like the most. I lean with Dallas, and I feel like this could be a back and forth game to where I could maybe grab Dallas at a plus price, wait for that. So that'll be my approach as far as once the game starts. But pregame, I am all over that over as well, 5.5.
All right, Ryan, your Stars. Let's hear it. Florida, Dallas.
Yeah, this is one I'm happy to lose, but from a bet perspective, I think the Stars are fine, but from watching them every night, I think they seem a little bit tired. The injuries are kind of catching up to them. I think the last week and a half, 2 weeks, they've been in all 4 time zones, a lot of travel. Again, their depth has been tested, so they just look a little tired right now. I think they need the Christmas break to get a few days off. Somehow, some way, they keep finding a way to win and get points, though. I think last game, when that Wyatt Johnson goal is called back for the offsides, if that doesn't happen, they probably win that game 5-2 and keep rolling. So just a frustrating spot there. But I like Florida in this spot. I think they've beaten Dallas 6 or 7 of the last 10. So it's just kind of one of those teams that has Dallas's number. I do expect Ottinger to be good at home. But I kind of lean Florida here. I just think, again, Dallas looks kind of tired. They're kind of running out of gas, so they need a few days to kind of, rest and recover. As you mentioned too, I'm surprised about Hintz. He's known to get injured. He obviously had that broken foot last year in the playoffs from that Darnell Nurse slash. So scary seeing him go down last game, but thankfully he's all right because obviously they can't afford to have any more injuries. I don't know how they've had the success they've had with all the injuries they've had. If you would have told a Stars fan that at the beginning of the year, they probably would have thought you were crazy. So I like Florida in this spot, but there are some props too. Jason Robertson, obviously, books are starting to catch on. You don't get as good a value anymore, but he's 17 goals in his last 16, whatever it is. He's on fire. So there's always value there. I do like Wyatt Johnson to score as well. And then a guy on Florida, I know Evan Rodriguez has seemed to have success against Dallas. I think he scored, 2 of the first, two of the first goals in the last 2 to 3 matchups or something. But I know I saw someone mention he's on PP2, and Florida has injuries as well. So they need guys to step up. So that Evan Rodriguez plus 500 is never a bad look. But this is definitely one I'm excited to watch as a fan. If Dallas wins, I won't be surprised. However, it's just one of those spots coming back home, off of a 2-3 game road trip, whatever it was. I think they could have a little lull here. Florida's obviously, playing a bit desperate. They haven't had the start to the season that they would have liked. So at plus money here, I think it's you got to take Florida. Again, if Dallas wins, I won't be surprised. But for the plus value, plus money, defending champs, I think you got to take Florida here.
Yes, it is 3-4. You're right. They played Wednesday and Thursday, and now they're playing tonight. So it is 3-4 for Florida. With not the greatest, but like I said, they're off a loss. They're playing a little bit better. Like I said, I think they're worth a bet at the plus price here. But like I said, I like the over much more than the side. The Florida bet's a small bet. I like the over a lot more here in this game at 5.5. If you're going to give me a 5.5 when 10 straight have had 6 goals minimum, yeah, I'm going to definitely be on that. As far as props go, obviously Jason Robertson, 2 straight games with a goal. He's been incredible this year. Mackie Samoskevich scored last game for the Florida Panthers. Ryan mentioned Evan Rodriguez, Lundell, and Kuhlman Lusterinen. Probably worth a look because they're up with Reinhart right now as well. Sam Steele, maybe because he's on the second line for Dallas. So there's a couple of the looks I would consider here in this game. Of course, Matt Robinson chirping his brother from the keyboard, right through the keyboard. Ryan is betting against Dallas. Hammer the stuff. Oh, my gosh. No rest for you, Ryan, from your bro. What can you say?
Hey, if I'm wrong here, this is when I'll happily be wrong. But, I'd hate to be overconfident in Dallas in this spot, and Florida wins 4-1. So
right.
I just think, again, for the plus value now, Florida was, minus 110, and Dallas was, for some reason, plus 115. I'd probably change my opinion, but I think for the plus price, how can you not bet Florida?
Yeah, there's definitely some truth to that. Yeah, like I said, Florida at this price, and I think we're starting to see them play a little bit better. I just realized we skipped a game. This was supposed to be before the before the Dallas-Florida game. Carolina-Philadelphia. We've got Carolina minus 170 road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. I have not moved on this game, and I won't till I know who the goalie is for Carolina. It's that simple. It's like a Rolodex right now. Anderson, fade. Look at the other team. Look at the over. Look at the team total over. Kochetkov, I'm kind of neutral with him right now. And if it's Bussy, that's Carolina or nothing. If it's Bussy, with the way he's playing right now and the way the team's playing around Brandon Bussy, I'm sensing that it could be Kochetkov. A lot of sites have him expected to start, but nothing's confirmed as of yet. He's the one I'm neutral on. I got to see more. Because he hasn't played a bunch. We still think he can be pretty good. But he's also, late last year, which we talked about ad nauseum, was not playing nearly as well. So I just want to sit back, see how he plays here. This might be a pass if it's him. If it's Anderson, it's Flyers and Flyers team total over and maybe the full game over. And if it's Bussy, it would only be Carolina here in this spot. But if it's Kochetkov, I'm kind of neutral, kind of lean and pass. I might sprinkle on the draw, though. This does feel like it's got draw potential, in my opinion. Flyers and Hurricanes. Flyers are starting to become one of those teams. They're not good enough to beat good teams, but they're good enough to push them, and they're good enough to force the game to overtime or a shootout like they did against Vegas the other night. So maybe I'll sprinkle on the draw here. That's about it for now for me with this game. Alex, what do you think? Canes, Flyers.
Yeah, Carolina's about to become real obnoxious with this 3 bear shit. The porridge is too hot. The bed's too stiff. We got to wait and see every fucking night. So this is a pass for now. Check Patreon later.
Yeah, check the Patreon page. Yeah, for our members. $10 per month is all it is, and we've been rolling with the card lately. All right, Ryan, what do you think here? Carolina, Philly?
Yeah, I think it's Carolina or nothing. I don't like minus 170. If anything, I think I would take Carolina's puck line here. But not a spot I want to lay minus 170, and obviously not big on the Flyers either. So I think this one's a pass. Pass for me pregame. I'll keep an eye out and see if there's any, spots for a live over or anything like that. But nothing in terms of this one. Again, I think there's better spots, better games out there.
Only thing I would say from a prop perspective is that maybe we look toward Dvorak just because he's centering the top line. But even then, not my favorite prop on the board. All right, Detroit-Chicago. This used to be a rivalry of rivalries in the NHL back in the day. Alex and I are old enough to remember when it was. We've got Detroit minus 190, road favorite, 6 the total. I mean, the Blackhawks, they've played a lot of games too, and they're on a back-to-back. And Soderblom and net on the back-to-back. Not bullish about taking, and no Bedard, obviously, which is, of course, the front of the minds of everybody, probably associated with the Blackhawks players, coaches, management right now, hoping like hell that they get good news on Monday with the prognosis of Connor Bedard, number 98. So it's not a greatest of Chicago spots, and it's certainly not the spot I want to lay minus 190 with Detroit either. I mean, this is the end of a very long 6-game road trip, but it's a road trip where they're coming off a loss, so that's always a time when maybe you could think about the fact that maybe Detroit, off the loss gives you a better effort. But still, it's been such a long road trip. I wouldn't totally put it past Detroit to have some issues here. The only thing I've got is a small draw sprinkle on a live over. If I find a 5.5, I will bet it, a live over. But the only thing pregame here for me is a small draw sprinkle. Wouldn't shock me if we get OT here tonight. Alex, what do you think? Red Wings, Blackhawks.
So the big news, of course, will be no Connor Bedard. Here are the two major changes that have been made. Frank Nazar moves up to first-line center, and Nick Lardis has been recalled from Rockford. Now, if you are not familiar with Nick Lardis, let me fill you in. He has 26 points, 13 goals, and 13 assists in 24 games. He leads all rookies in the AHL. He ranks second in the AHL amongst rookies with goals, and he was the rookie of the month in October, had 4 goals and 8 points, 8 assists, I should say, in that span. This kid is an absolute scorer. I've seen his highlight tape. I've seen a couple of games of him in Rockford. He's going to be a legitimate problem in this league at due time. I'll talk more about him a little bit later, but I'm sticking with goal props here and looking for a live over at that 6. Try and grab a little bit of a 5.5. Maybe take a small shot with that goal in the first 5 minutes to insulate myself. But I think we can get a 5.5, laying $1.25, $1.30 here, and we see goals going both ways. It is Arvid Soderblom in net. They're giving him this game like they did against the last time he played Detroit. He played well against Detroit. Of course, his brother will be in the lineup as well, so they always have to draw that in. And so it's a Soderblom start. We lean with overs nowadays because he has looked more like the classic Soderblom, which is unfortunate, as opposed to the better Soderblom. Maybe Laurent Brossoit can get a call up at some point. But leaning with the over in game, I have Frank Nazar anytime goal plus 240. And then another goal prop I'll talk about later.
And shout out to Laurent Brossoit. Back from witness protection, it felt like, because we hadn't seen him in 2 years. And all of a sudden, there he is back, skating with Chicago, obviously sent down for conditioning with the AHL, and now finally starting a game, albeit at the American League level, and scores a goddamn goal last night in the AHL game for Rockford last night. So crazy stuff. But shout out Laurent Brossoit for that. It's not every day you see a goalie score into the empty net.
Second Rockford Ice Hog to score a goal in the AHL, and Colin Delia was the other, and he's the 25th goaltender in AHL history to score a goal.
Yeah, there you go. So nice achievement there for him. But John Gibson, by the way, in net for Detroit, and he's all of a sudden hit a hot streak. 4 straight wins, 4 straight starts with a victory for him, and he's certainly played a lot better of late. We'll see if that continues tonight. Ryan, what do you think here? Red Wings, Blackhawks.
Yeah, I think if Bedard hadn't gotten hurt and Soderblom wasn't in, I'd probably lean the Blackhawks. But I lean Detroit. I don't like minus 190, but I'm going to take a small shot with Detroit money line parlayed with Patrick Kane. Anytime I see it upwards of plus 350. So just one of those things. Anytime Kane goes back there, I think it's worth a bet. And if Detroit wins, I could definitely see him finding the back of the net. So just one of those small sprinkle plays for me that has good value. So that's all I'm on pregame.
Yeah, Hal spot on about Bedard Nazar and Ryan Donato. Both have been very quiet of late and definitely need to get things rolling. I like Nazar getting this bump up to the first line. That should wake him up. But Donato, too, we were talking about that in our group chat this morning. Donato to get a point, Donato maybe power play point, would be some sprinkles I would look at with him as well. But those are two guys who now, certainly with however long this absence is with without number 98, those two guys need to get it going offensively.
No doubt. Hopefully they can step up tonight. And someone by committee, Chicago is going to have to step up, obviously, without Connor Bedard in the lineup. And Nick Lardis, I can speak on him a bit because he played his junior hockey here in Hamilton, and then when the team moved to Brantford, he went there with the Bulldogs, and he just lit it up in junior. Incredible offensive talent that he has. So if he, it's exciting to see, how he looks here up in the NHL level with the Chicago Blackhawks. So like I said, interesting to see how it would go for him here at this level. All right, Nashville, Colorado. Colorado minus 320, home favorite, 6 the total. Nashville rolling, but man, does this ever feel like the spot where they get knocked down a peg, because it's actually rapid, short turnaround revenge, too, for Colorado. They lost in Nashville earlier this week in Music City, of course. And like I said, so Colorado's going to be looking for a little bit of redemption. Obviously, they bounced back from the Nashville loss and thumped Florida 6-2 at home. The problem is there's no value, and certainly no value that makes me want to take Colorado pregame. Maybe if we find something live in game, if the Colorado team total slips to 3.5 instead of 4.5, maybe I'll bet it in game at that point. The only thing I got pregame is I did bet over 6 minus 120, just because these Colorado games. And another point to note is I think Jonathan's the one that mentioned this to us. This first 5 minutes goal in the first 5 minutes of Colorado home games has been unbelievable. 11-1. In the last 12 Colorado home games, 11-1 to the goal in the first 5 minutes. And you can bet that at a price above plus 150, which is pretty good. I'm even going to sprinkle on that. How can you argue with it? 11-1 run for goal in the first 5 minutes for Colorado Avalanche home games. And over plus 150 to get a price like that on it, why not? I'll bet that pregame as well, along with the probably the over by Fecta in this one too. And it's just sticking with all totals. I think Colorado wins, but again, there's no pregame value, right? Minus 320. You want to lay minus a half first period puck line at plus 100? That's not value that I'm interested in, not at that price. So you just can't find the value. Any Colorado bet has to be in game. So just pregame for me, that goal in the first 5 at plus 150 or so, and of course the over by Fecta. Alex, what do you think? Nashville, Colorado.
This screams live game. Because the one thing you would want to bet to insulate yourself, and I talk about this all the time, is goal in first 5 minutes. And with that kind of a run, you cash that, you're good. So I that would be a larger than usual bet on the goal in first 5 minutes plus 150. And if that falls, then that gives me an opening to look for Colorado team total, full game over, whatever I choose live in game. But having that window and having that kind of trend behind it, definitely worth betting on. So goal in first 5 minutes plus 150 at BetMGM.
All right, there you go. Good stuff indeed. And AM going for the gusto here. Nashville, big plus price. I'm telling you what, they are playing. Like, if you believe in playing that team in great form, Nashville, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but they are in very good form right now. No question. 6-2 in their last 8 games. They're playing well. Their overrun has suddenly been nuts. 8-2 to the over in their last 10, 8-1 to the over in their last 9 games. That's why I'm on the over by Fecta here. In this one, but definitely at that plus 150, dabble in that first goal in the first 5 minutes, at that price, that's really worth it. What do you think here, Ryan? Nashville, Colorado.
This one's a pass. Obviously, I know Nashville's playing a little bit better, but Colorado did lose them, earlier this week. So a good revenge spot for Colorado, but minus 320, there's no value. I thought about their puck line, but minus 130 isn't great value. I looked at an exact score of 5-1, 5-2. If Colorado wins, I think they're going to put up goals like they did against Florida, but even that is only plus 1,300, which isn't great value for an exact score. So just not much value here. Obviously, Colorado's heavy favorite, as they should be. So I'm staying off of this one. If they do get down 2-0 early or 2-1 somehow into first, I might look for a live spot, but nothing pregame for this one.
All right. As far as props go in this game, Nashville and Colorado, couple that stand out. Brock Nelson, 3 games in a row with a goal for Colorado. Arturi Lehkonen, 2 games in a row with a goal for Colorado. So they might all be worth a little shot. I think Gavin Brindley, too, back from injury, might be worth a shot. If you want to ride the hot hand that is Steven Stamkos all of a sudden, 4 goals, obviously, in his last game. Bunting is someone that's been, stepping up offensively. He's another reason why Nashville's been scoring a few more goals lately. So those are a couple of the player prop looks I would consider in that one. All right, our final game for this massive Saturday slate, Calgary, Los Angeles, Kings minus 170. Wow. Kings minus 170 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. 4-8 is the home, 4-9, sorry, is the home record this year for the Los Angeles Kings. So think about the fact they're minus 170. They've won 4 of their 13 home games this year, and they're minus 170 here on home ice. So this has to be Calgary or nothing for me. And I'm not jumping at the chance to bet the Flames either. But at this price, it's almost I have to, by default, lean to the Calgary Flames here. By the way, Saros and Wedgwood are projected but not confirmed for the Preds Avs. Wolf and Kemper projected but not confirmed here for this game with the Flames taking on the Kings. Of course, typical LA, right? We did like them against Utah, and that was a great spot to back the Kings, the mom's trip. But the mom's trip magic did not hold over to the Seattle game where they coughed up a lead and lost in overtime 3-2 against Seattle. Now they're back home. We'll see how they fare. Calgary's off a 4-3 loss to the Detroit Red Wings. But prior to that, Calgary had won 3 games in a row. We'll see if they can carry that over here into this game. They've beaten LA 5 of the last 6 meetings, by the way, for the Calgary Flames here going into this one. So I have not moved on this game yet. Not sure I will, but maybe I dabble small in Calgary. That's the only side I could bet at this price. No way am I taking LA at a favorite price like this at home. 4 of 13 at home victories, 4 out of 13, and you're minus 170 at home. Get out of here with that nonsense. Alex, what do you think here? Flames, Kings.
Another dog and draw for me. I mean, it's hard to turn down a draw, but you're still getting plus 320 at BetMGM with the Kings. Team who often goes past regulation. And like I said, this is a Calgary team. They played well, won 3 of the last 4, played well against LA, but there have been some close 2-1 victories in that stretch against LA. So they haven't made it easy for themselves in winning some of these games. So dog and draw for me. So grab that plus 150, plus 320 best price available to draw. Also at MGM.
Now, Calgary's in their weaker split, too. They've been better at home than on the road. They've won 7 at home. They're only 5 and 13 on the road. But, they've still got more road wins than LA has home wins. Think about that. Calgary's won 5 on the road. LA still only won 4 at home. So, yeah, Calgary is the only side I would endorse. Plus 150. I probably will get involved small on that. Draw, I lean. Probably under, I lean. Because you're right, Dustin Wolf, California kid, right? Playing in LA. He'll be chomping at the bit to probably play well tonight here in this game. So, this could LA be shut out at home? I mean, is this maybe a spot to dabble in a little Dustin Wolf shutout? Possibly to play well here. We'll see. But like I said, wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't put it past Dustin Wolf to have a nice outing here against obviously what can be an offensively challenged LA team, especially at home. And Wolf beat the Kings twice last season. Says Jonathan Davis. Yeah, I'm looking at this Kings team at home. Yeah, other than the eruption against Chicago, they scored 2 against Ottawa, 2 against Vancouver, 1 against Washington, and 1 in the first game against Chicago. So they have struggled to score goals on home ice of late, the Los Angeles Kings. Ryan, what do you think here, Calgary, LA?
Yeah, not too interested in this game overall, but something I'm going to sprinkle on is Alex Laferriere anytime goal, plus 350. I caught up with him a couple weeks ago. He's doing well. He loves it down there in LA. So anytime I'm on the show, I like to sprinkle on him. So that's all I have pregame. No sides, no totals, no team totals, anything like that. I don't hate the Dustin look, though.
He wasn't on your team. You played against him, though, right? Is that right?
No, we played together in Des Moines. We lived together for almost a year. It was the COVID season, but
there you go.
We grew up playing together in like the spring and summer, and then we played juniors together for a year. So he's a great kid. He's happy in LA. He loves it down there. So recently got engaged this summer as well. So he's doing good. I'm sprinkling on that, but I don't hate the Dustin Wolf look either. He grew up a Kings fan, idolized Quick. He's from California. I'm sure he'll have a lot of family and friends there. So I don't hate that. If you are into, goalie save props, I don't hate that one either.
There you go. I like it. No doubt. Wolf over saves, because I could see the Kings putting the rubber on net. Whether it goes in is another story. Obviously, with a team like the Los Angeles Kings. All right, good stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Like I said, a huge, massive slate here on this Saturday. Looking forward to it. We've already got, of course, Anaheim, New Jersey, the first game underway. So hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Great handicappers on that roster, so make sure you check it out. I've got a lot of premium stuff going on this weekend. We got NFL tomorrow. We've got NBA and college basketball, NHL all weekend long. So make sure you check it out. And check the Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel, because I'm going to have Beyond the Lines, the Sunday video. I'll be recording that later, and it'll be up on the YouTube channel late tonight for tomorrow, talking NFL. So check that out. So get on board. Check out the site, wizardsportspicks.com, and check out patreon.com/iceguys. Just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, all our bonus content, including the daily betting card, sides, totals, player props, posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So again, check it out. $10 per month. Your subscription and membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. Just $10 per month. Get on board. Give yourself the Christmas gift of a Patreon Ice Guys membership at patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Speaking of Christmas gifts, it's a wonderful place to shop. And you can save this week, too. 25% off of orders, $50 or more, starting today and for the next 5 days. This is a sale you definitely want to take advantage of. If you want to get a gift for yourself or a loved one or a friend, whomever, and get it under the tree in time for Christmas, you need to order now, and you can save by hitting that redeem button at the homepage, adding at least $50 or more worth of items to your cart, and that 25% will be taken off the checkout. So 5 days, 25% off of all orders, $50 or more. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Get on board. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Royal Cannabis, where the kings and queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis, royalcannabisshop.com, and 20% off with promo code IceGuys. All right, Bargain Bin Special of the night. We got one in the win column last night. Mason Marchment, Seattle. We'll see if we can add one, maybe even more than one, to the win column tonight. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain Bin Special of the night.
1901 West Madison. You've got an original six matchup. The hated Detroit Red Wings skating into town against the Chicago Blackhawks, and he's going to make a splash. Just for NHL debut, why not go with him? Nick Lardis, anytime goal scorer. You can get this at FanDuel plus 410. They posted it, then it was locked. Now it's reopened again. Plus 410 is available. Nick Lardis, anytime goal scorer for the Chicago Blackhawks. Detroit sucks. This is my Bargain Bin Special for Saturday night.
There you go. A great player in junior, unbelievable scorer in junior, Nick Lardis, former Hamilton/Brantford Bulldog. And looking forward to seeing what he does with the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. So excited about that. Ryan, Bargain Bin Special of the night.
Yeah, I'm going down to Dallas with Dallas in Florida. Give me Thomas Harley, anytime goal plus 750. I know he's coming back from an injury. His first game back played 17 minutes. Last game played 22, so they're definitely ramping him up. I know Heiskanen's been quarterback in their power play. I expect, Harley to get more involved. Goldson had mentioned that earlier in the week. Harley's offensive. They want to get him going. He had some nice, rush chances last game and looked like he was pretty close to scoring. So I look for him to find the back of the net. Give me Thomas Harley anytime goal as my bargain bin special plus 750. I think when he's fully healthy, you're not going to get that good of value. He's going to be in that, 500 range. So Thomas Harley to find the back of the net tonight.
All right. Thomas Harley for the Dallas Stars for Ryan Robinson with his bargain bin special tonight. And mine is going to be, I cashed with him the other night, not as a bargain bin, but I'm going to take him as a bargain bin tonight. Even though I'm on Washington in this game, give me Alex Iafallo for the Winnipeg Jets, plus 475 for a top line assignment with Connor and Scheifele. Absolutely a great price that's worth taking. Alex Iafallo, Winnipeg, plus 475 for my bargain bin special of the night. See if he can make it 2 straight games with a goal up there on the top line. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet? Wrong camera. There we go.
There we are. All right, let's skate out to Buckeye Country. You got Columbus, the Blue Jackets taking on Vegas Golden Knights, except there's a 25th anniversary celebration. Why not fire off those cannons first? Give me the Blue Jackets to score the first goal in the first period, plus 135. That's my Saturday best bet.
All right, there you go. I like that. That's on my card as well. Jackets, first goal of first period for best bet for Alex B. Smith. Ryan, best bet.
Let's go up to that Canadian matchup, Edmonton-Toronto. Give me the Toronto Maple Leafs at plus money, plus 115 for my best bet. I think they get it done at Edmonton at home. Obviously, Toronto's coming off a loss. The Oilers are starting a new goalie. Give me Toronto to get it done at home is my best bet tonight.
All right, Toronto in that plus 110, plus 115 range for Ryan with best bet. My best bet, I'm going to go to Ryan's team down in Dallas for best bet. Florida, Dallas, over 5.5, minus 130. We're not going to argue with 10 straight meetings, 6 goals or more between these two teams. I think it goes to 11. Let's go with Panthers, Stars, over 5.5 for my best bet here for this Saturday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And looking forward to a huge Saturday slate. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and Ryan Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back tomorrow on Sunday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.